Sukuna vs Kashimo isn't gonna go how you think. I've seen a lot of people talking about how Kashimo and Sukuna is gonna end in like 3 chapters and Sukuna will absolutely body Kashimo. However, me, being the absolute menace that I am, I want and I hope and I need to see Kashimo give Sukuna a tough fight. And when I say tough fight, I'm talking about like, I want to see him push Sukuna to the same level as Gojo did. And the reason behind this is because power scaling within Jujutsu Kaisen, it kind of sucks. And it's often pointless fun. And while it is fun purely within the series of Jujutsu Kaisen, every fight is just different. And as I've said for a long time now, styles make fights within this series. Techniques aren't just completely dominant over one. And there's always a way around them with just planning or just battle IQ, and we've seen this primarily with Gojo and even with Gojo vs Sukuna. Gojo now has been beaten 3 separate times by someone just being able to plan around him. Someone without a curse technique, Toji, beat him the first time just by planning. Then Kenjaku didn't even straight up fight him, he just planned to have him sealed and it worked. And then we've watched Sukuna, who all of this, fought him, planned for him, and then finally actually killed the man. So there's a lot of factors that come into play in the series, and we've seen the strongest characters be outplayed by people with prep time, meaning in some cases and a lot of the time, strength isn't always the be-all end-all of things within the series of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's kind of similar to Hunter x Hunter, but right now we have Kashimo vs Sukuna, and the first few attacks thrown in this fight from Kashimo land flush and clean on Sukuna, even landing and making Sukuna literally shot. Like, this brother has no idea what's going on those first 2 hits here. Even the case tool delivered to him by Urumi that was made by Yorozu has zero effect on Kashimo simply due to his cased energy trait, something that we saw a lot of during his fight with Panda and Akari, and that trait basically leaves Kashimo in a permanent state of being electrified, and it also simultaneously electrifies and basically tases the opponent upon being struck by Kashimo. And the only person that was able to negate this was Akari, and that was simply because of Akari's cased energy trait also sort of cancelling out the effect of Kashimo's trait. But to that end, Sukuna doesn't have any sort of specific cased energy trait. The only mentions of Sukuna's cased energy within the series only ever seem to mention just how much of it he actually has. And then in terms of a trait, the only thing that has ever been mentioned was actually Jogo, who once mentioned who his cased energy is just overwhelmingly evil in comparison to Gojo Satoru, and that was something that I don't think is gonna help against something that might electrify. I mean, maybe it could, who knows. But on top of all of this, Sukuna has now had to use his one-time transformation to get back into his old body, meaning it's very reasonable to assume that Sukuna is now sat at full strength once again after his fight with Gojo. So what does that mean? Well, it's highly possible that Sukuna now has his domain expansion back, and it's also highly possible that Kashimo also has a domain. As for what that domain could be, who fucking knows? I will leave it for you guys in the comments below to try and decipher that and think it out what it could be. But why do I think this fight is going to be closer than we all think? Why do I think that Kashimo might actually give Sukuna a pretty decent fight? Well, Kashimo was also the strongest sorcerer in his era, and he ended up suffering Gojo's worst fear of dying to old age and an undisclosed illness before actually finding an opponent that he could his all and give the challenge, and he seeked that out and opted to wait a couple more 100 years just for the opportunity to fight Sukuna, but he ended up dying in his own time before he could find that challenge. And fast forward to now, we now have Kashimo that is standing in front of Sukuna, already putting his life on the line using a technique that solidifies his death after its use. This man Kashimo wasted no time on watching Gojo fall to the floor and said, "I'm next, I've got next," and you've got to respect that. But the main point of this video is that I don't think Kashimo is going to go out the way everyone seems to think he will. In fact, I actually think this fight will be a major gateway into the background of not only Sukuna but also the Heian era, and maybe even some more Kashimo lore, because the last time Kashimo was on the screen we did get given a major insight into his era. We got 2 double spread pages of just everything that was around Kashimo's era, even references to Ryu at his time as well. So I think it's definitely safe to assume that Kashimo probably survives a lot longer than 3 chapters. I think the second point of this video is just also open up a discussion about the fight. I think if Yorozu was someone who was able to last 3 chapters against Sukuna, and then Kashimo will also be a challenge for sure. I think at the very least, I am predicting a solid 6 to 7 chapters of this fight and a few hints into the background of Sukuna and even the Heian era. But I do think that Kashimo has a lot in store for us. When you look at what he was able to do against Hikari, someone who was essentially unkillable and immortal, had unlimited cursed energy, you are looking at someone like Sukuna, who basically also has unlimited cursed energy. Like, this dude is not running out anytime soon. The only thing that slowed down was his RCT in the last couple of chapters towards Gojo's fight, but this brother has a lot of cursed energy, and if this healing factor of him restoring his old body has brought him back into full strength, then that cursed energy is probably safe to say it's back, it's full force. So we know Kashimo can last against someone with a lot of cursed energy, and he did it against Hikari, who was just simply throwing hands, and Kashimo was only manipulating his cursed energy trait. That putting him against Sukuna, who now he can use his full technique against, I think we're going to be in for something crazy. But that's everything from me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You think Sukuna's just going to body this man in 2 chapters, or you think it's, are you with me? I know Kaio is definitely with me when I say this, but I do think this fight is going to go. I do think this fight is going to go a lot longer than what we all expected. But that is everything from me. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. As always, it does help me out, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, peace.